Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Welcome. This is the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. As always, Joey, the Italian Stallion Murray, joined by Russ, the Idea Guy Morgan. Russ, we got an awesome guest today.
Yes, today we're going to be talking about being a dropout.
What?
Yeah. Don't you want to be a dropout?
No. Who wants to be a dropout?
You. I did.
I did not drop out.
Yes, you did. You dropped out of corporate America just like I did.
Yes, see, I know. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I know that you're trying to take me back to my high school days when you were actually in the band and I was the one making fun of the band. Yes, I agree that I was closer to being a dropout in high school than you were, but I'm talking about corporate dropout. And we're getting down to how, as entrepreneurs, not only can we be successful, not only can we lead people in the areas that we're passionate about, but did you know that we might be leaving money on the table?
No, that's not possible.
Yes, it is possible. And last week when I was at FinCon, bro, I got to see so many people who have taken a talent and expertise and have been able to monetize it online through courses and blogs. And today our guest is Jereshia Hawk from JereshiaHawk.com. She has a business that is helping entrepreneurs like you and me be able to take our services, extra things that we're doing, and being able to sell those online as well.
That's right. This is actually continuing this whole idea of FIRE, right? Financial independence, retire early. It applies in all across the board, but she tells her own story about how she dropped out of corporate America to follow this path of financial independence, to turn it into a consulting business. But then I love how she also addresses the fact that as entrepreneurs, we have something of value to continue to give away that could be additional revenue we're not even thinking about.
And we give it away for free. And I know everybody listening like, no, please. Don't start taking your content and making me pay for it. But there's some really...
What are you, Facebook?
Jeez. Exactly. Start boosting this thing. But seriously, there is truth. We have things that people... need to hear, but yet sometimes we don't share it because, look, our day job gets in the way and we don't have the ability to share it. I mean, how many times do we get called from people who are like, hey, look, I've already got one of these insurance policies and I want to be using this concept, but my guy didn't know what he's talking about. The girl who did this for me, I asked her about it and she's like, yeah, you sort of can do that. But they're like, can you help me? And I know that that's where we're going, right? That's why we're moving in this coaching program.
Yeah, we've got to create the coaching program to be able to help people in all areas of this. So I'm right there with you. I'm inspired by what Jereshia had to say. I know you were. My biggest takeaway was we're leaving tons of opportunity on the table.
Well, here's the thing. This is an engineer like no other engineer you've ever met. Not only is she wicked cool, she dresses super fly. Most engineers, look, if you're an engineer, I love you because you love numbers. You love breaking down Excel spreadsheets like I do, but your outfit game needs some work. And Jereshia has got that down. And this interview, you'll see not only the flavor of her personality, but how she got to be very successful. And there's just so many tips in here that I took away personally, reminded me of some of the things that I did early on, that if you are not doing these, you're going to want to write these down. So let's jump into our interview today with Jereshia Hawk.
Jereshia, we are so grateful that you stopped by the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast today. Grateful to have you in here.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk down the street with you guys.
Yeah. We got to meet at Podcast Movement. I guess that's been a month or so ago. And just listening to your story about how you dropped out of corporate America, I'm excited for you to share that with our audience.
Yeah, likewise. You guys are rebels in the online space, Wealth Without Wall Street, corporate dropout. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah. So tell me, kind of give our audience a little bit of background about Jereshia. Like, how did you become the consultant to the women of America and leaving this, cush, Wall Street, not Wall Street, but corporate America job?
Yeah, so I was working for a utility in the natural gas space as a pipeline engineer, and things were going really well, like on the leadership track, had been promoted to a really large scale pipeline project. But far too often, I just found myself being the only one in the room, the only woman of color. And it was just like getting to a point where it's how can I help increase the representation of other people who look like me so they can also have a voice at the table. So, I had my board of directors. They're like all my mentors and people who really poured into me. And I just really wanted to share some of the things that I had been really benefited me in my career and share that with other people so they could, progress in their career, get promoted, or figure out what their next step was going to be.
All right, let's break down that part. You said something in there that I recognize because I also have set up a board of directors for my business. I've done that for a long time, but not everybody who's listening to this podcast has done that. Explain to them what that board of directors looked like for you and how often you met and some of the conversations you guys had.
So this is before I had a business. I call them my personal. Oh, so you mean so I grew up without my parents. They were basically like my creative parents. Like, you can have creative players, but they were all like creative parents. And in corporate every day, I always would tell myself I'll never eat alone. This is before I knew that was a book, but I'm like, CEOs and VPs have to eat like the rest of us, peons in the bottom of the barrel here. Like, it'll be a great way for me to just meet new people and get exposed to other departments and just get exposed to new ways of thinking. So I made a list of like all the things I was interested in and then found somebody who was either in that role or knew somebody in that role and just started meeting with all these different people. Or like when I went to events, similar like podcast movement or corporate, conferences, if there was somebody on a panel that was like, oh, they were super baller, like I need to go suck up more of their wealth of knowledge and connect with them. I was just really, really intentional about that. So over maybe like a 6 or 9 month time frame, I had really developed these relationships organically with, 9 to 12 different people who have changed my life. I mean, from a career and professional standpoint, but also just internally and personally as well. So, I think when you come into corporate America, at least for me, I was put into like this leadership program and there was maybe 30 of us. But I'm like, by the end of these 2 years after this program, I want to make sure that everybody in this 8,000 plus organization knows who I am. So that was my way of making sure that people knew who I was, through like the grassroots efforts of just building relationships and hopefully good word spreading from there.
Yeah. So you were going through that process and you were like, I'm getting poured into. Now, how do I take that and start pouring into others who maybe don't have that same opportunity? Is that how you got started?
Yeah, that's where I think the desire or the passion came from, because my peers would look at me saying like, Jay, how are you, getting these opportunities? How do you know who these people are? How are you getting access to the opportunities before they're even like posted or published somewhere? And I'm like, it's really because of these, relationships I'm building. And just so many of my peers or even people outside of my company were just asking me, how are you doing this? And how are you progressing so quickly? So and like I said, I was always the only one. Like there was very rare. There was never another like Black female of my age. I was always normally the youngest or the only woman of color in the room. So I'm just like, well, how can I, everybody's not blessed to have the amazing mentors that I have. So how can I share this wealth of knowledge with others so they can be more intentional about their career and more intentional about the things they want to achieve? And that's when like this group coaching started online, where I started doing live videos and telling this to other people, and people ended up paying. I wasn't charging much back then, so it wasn't a huge transaction, but that's where it all started.
Well, but then it's not just that easy. You're kind of being a little easy there. Oh, that's just how it all started. No, at some point you had to make a transition from getting a salary at a utility company, all the benefits that come along with that, and then you had to break off and do your own deal. So, give us a little insight on that. How did that happen? Yeah.
So I don't believe that everybody should be a full-time business owner or be a full-time entrepreneur, but I do truly believe that everybody should have the skill set to know how to go out there and make money outside of a paycheck. So at the time, I had no thoughts to quit my job. I had this 15-year career plan mapped on my 11 by 17 sheet of paper. And I thought I was going to be a VP by the time that I was 33. Then I would stay a VP for like 4 or 5 years. And then I would quit and start my own consulting business. So it wasn't in the short term. Like I had no plans of quitting my job. But I was like, this would be good extra money. Maybe it'll afford me to go get, those eyelash extensions and my eyebrows done more regularly. Like whatever, have a couple extra grand to buy that Louis Vuitton bag or whatever the case is. So I was just got promoted to a new role where I was leading a $400 million pipeline project. I was studying to get my MBA because I was going to be a VP. That means I need to have an MBA from this Ivy League, blah, blah, blah. And then I was doing this little coaching thing on the side. So it didn't get real to me. I had been playing around with the idea of it and just like testing it, trying to sell stuff for probably like 10 or 12 months. And I had made maybe like $6,000 over that 12 months, but I was burnt out, overworked, resenting clients. Because I'm like, I'm doing and providing too much value and I'm not making enough money. This is crap. And then I got serious and said, okay, with the time that you have available, are you going to just commit to deciding to making this something real, or is this just an expensive hobby? And the type of person I am, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't really make sense. So I'm like, Jay, just go all in and see what happens. So, I started changing up my business model and my offers. And maybe 4 months after that, I hit my first 5-figure month. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, maybe this is real. Because it was like, y'all, making over $10,000 in a month, working 15 hours a week outside of a job was just like, I thought Uncle Sam was going to come knocking at my door and be like, my bad. we didn't mean to deposit all that money into your account. Right. So that's when when I got serious and I was like, okay, if I can do this again, hit 5 figures again in May and do it again in June, I will quit my job in July. And that was the kind of like the contract I made with myself, not thinking it would actually happen, but then it did.
So there's a couple questions that everybody's thinking about right now. Number one, why an 11 by 17 sheet of paper? And number two, why eyelash extensions?
Well, a 15-year career plan can't fit on an 8.5 by 11.
Exactly.
Well, and by the way, I was thinking because I know Joey came from the banking world, you could become a VP in half a minute. They just give that thing away just nothing. That's candy at the doorstep. Just VP of car wash, VP. VP bank teller. Anything.
Not in the utility world.
No.
Okay.
No, that's working. So there was this moment though, you had this aha. So did you go to this board of directors that you had? Because some of those people obviously probably were maybe in the company or maybe in this network. How did that conversation go?
So the guy that's probably one of the most influential mentors on that board, his name is John, and he is a VP at that company. And he told me to quit before I even told him about it. And I was like, whoa. You can't be a VP at this company and I'm an employee at this company and you're telling me to quit. But I think he really, I think the utility world, just the nature of the business, it is very slow to make significant changes. And that's just the nature of the beast, And I think I remember we were sitting in a meeting because I was shocked when he said this. And he was like, you're bigger than the walls of this organization. And we're not going anywhere. So go out there, fulfill your potential that I see that you have in you. And if you ever want to come back, we still going to be here delivering electricity and natural gas. So that was really shocking, to hear, and for me, a white man to tell me to quit my job. And I know I don't know, that was a really big deal to hear that from him and somebody I really, really admired and somebody who was really high up in the company. Just make sure you don't forget about us. I want a window seat on your private jet. You won't make private jet money working, even if you're a VP working here. So go out there and be great. He wasn't, a lot of my mentors, I think they just saw in me more than I could even see in myself at the time. And still do. I think they can just really see me for the person that I'm growing into versus just the woman that I am today. So I really am just grateful that they always would speak that life on me, even when I couldn't see it on myself.
So that is such an awesome story, Jereshia. And I think to the people that we talk to every day, they really kind of fall into two camps. And I'm wondering, some of them are where you were, where they are stuck in a job. Some of them not in as good a job or as a great environment, and they're looking for ways. In fact, I just met with a lady this morning, and she's like, how fast can you help me get out of this job? How fast can you help me create this passive income lifestyle? And in her case, it was $5,000 a month that she wanted to start replacing. And so for those type of people, talk a little bit about your process. You've got a process for people that fall into that camp, and then maybe we can talk about those that are already out on their own and what you do for them as well.
Yeah, so I love the fact that you asked this woman, how much does she need to be earning every month for her to feel comfortable to quit? So I think a lot of the time people have this desire to quit, but they have no real clear metrics on what needs to be true in order for them to go step into this new lifestyle.
Like a reality check, basically.
Yeah. Or a lot of my clients will say, Jay, I need to make 20 grand a month before I can quit. And it's like, you making like $3,000 a month now. Why do you need to be making $20,000 a month before you feel comfortable to quit? And I'm saying that somebody's probably listening and be like, well, I got to make, 15 times what I'm making right now before I'm willing to walk out. But I think you really need to look at like that. I think that's fear speaking more than anything else.
Yeah, sure.
Because you're just saying, if I make 20 grand, I'll quit, because you really don't believe it's possible. So you never have to pull the trigger and make the decision. But I think the first thing is to really evaluate what your expenses are and what quality of life you're willing to sustain for a short term. So you can build a foundation for you to then, propel off of and earn more money. And another thing is, if you're still working your 9 to 5, you only have so much capacity. You only have so much time. You only have so much resources. You only have so much like energetic ability to go to something else. So I think the fastest way for you to get out is by actually through offering consulting services, mainly because all you really need is, you guys use Outlook. I recommend G Suite. Get an email address that's not like, TonyHawk3742@gmail.com. Like, get a legit email address, buy a domain name, put up like you don't even need to have a website, but you can have a really simple like landing page and start selling services. Because the cost of entry to actually start generating revenue, you can do that for less than $300 and have that stuff set up in, a week or two. But I think
so. Let me stop you there. So number one, Russ is the man at Gmail. We got to get rid of that.
Y'all got to get rid of Outlook. Unless you have some crazy like Russ, Russ 1747.
Russ is the stud at Gmail or something. Okay, all right. We'll take care of that offline. But continue. Sorry.
Or you, Joey. No Italian Stallion 734@gmail.com. So yeah, I think consulting, I think, is really, especially even in this day and age with the gig economy, and I think that buzzword is getting out there, more than I think half of the workforce, some of the studies are saying, are already participating in this gig economy. Whether you're driving Uber or Lyft or offering freelance or consulting services, you can come out of the gate charging like a 4-figure price tag. You can come out of the gate charging a 4-figure price tag and replace your income or hit that income goal with very low startup costs, and without having all this overhead and really, really good profit margins.
All right, so I got a question for you there. And by the way, was that jab at Joey, Joey the Italian Stallion 734? Was that like his SAT score that you were like referencing there?
Oh, okay.
Okay. But anyway, back to the question is, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you. I'm like, man, what she's talking about, I'm in, but what am I going to sell?
Exactly.
What's my 4-figure thing? Cause I'm willing to sell it. Just help me figure this one out.
Hand it to me.
Yes. The first thing I would recommend people doing is just taking a personal inventory of what their skill sets are. And I think a lot of the time we undervalue the capabilities and skill sets that we have, or just overlook them. So, and there's probably people coming to you always asking, hey, can you help me with this? Or you're really good at this. Can you help me set this up or do this thing over here in my life? So I would take that personal inventory. But from then I would recommend you guys use, I call it the POP method, where you pick one person that you could solve this problem for. So I think a lot of time people talk about who is your target market. And a lot of us paint this like super umbrella picture of, I support men who are age 22 to 55 who have an income of 30 to 100,000. Like I say, scratch all that. Pick one person that you know or would like to have as a client and understand them, understand their problems, their challenges, their desires, what end results that they're looking to achieve. Pick one problem that they have. Now, as humans, we have a million problems. Your job is just to solve one of them. So pick one of the problems that one person has that aligns with your skill set that you could come in and offer that transformation. And then finally, you package one process. So from the time they come to you, what are the steps that somebody needs to go through in order to experience that transformation or get that one result that you're helping them get? So I'd say take inventory of your skill set and what you're capable of doing. Think of one real person that you know of who you could solve that problem for. Identify what that one problem is, and then start to create a framework or an outline of the steps that you would take somebody through to get that end result.
And how much time, like, would you say, like, you're building something online, right? You're building a course, you're building consulting. Is that what most of the clients that you're working with are doing? Are they like trying to create something ahead of time and then go market it out there? Or how are they like shaping that up?
So I don't believe in creating anything until somebody's actually paid for it. If in the online space, I think a lot of the time you do hear people talking about passive income, create a digital course, set up this funnel and drive traffic to it, which works. But if you're like the average individual, like I was, still partially am, how most of us are, we don't have these large audiences and we don't have all this time and money that we want to be spending creating a product that we don't even know if it will sell or how to sell it. So I believe I call it like flipping the funnel. Instead of trying to come out of the gate, creating this passive digital course, I recommend actually starting with a smaller niched audience and selling a service at a higher ticket. So you can actually learn how to perfect your process, actually learn how to support another client. Because even though you know how to do it, it's a difference being able to teach somebody else how to do it. So figuring that out, actually learning while you're earning with one-on-one clients. So, when in our program services that sell, we teach people how to create and sell their signature service in less than 100 days. So my thing is get that foundation laid right out of the gate. And then from there, maybe 4 months or 6 months after doing this, you can then take that signature service that you've created, package that, and then turn that into a digital product or a digital course that can be more passive. But it's extremely difficult. And I've seen people spend over tens of $20,000s of dollars. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Tons of money creating this digital product that they don't have an audience for. They don't know who they're selling it to. They don't know how to sell it. And they don't even really know if the framework of the course is even solid enough because they've never taught it to anybody else before.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Scrum, but it was, big in the technical world, but it's kind of the concept of, have a minimal viable product, get it out to the world. Don't try to build this massive thing and then hope it sells. Right. So, all right. So I've got a skill set. Mine is that I know how to dress. I'm a strong dresser. That's how we got connected because there you are, fashionista.
Oh my gosh.
You're like that guy. Yeah. Look at those shoes. I need to go talk to him. And so, okay, I got this service. I've obviously got a client with the Italian Stallion. Like I got somebody I can share my ideas with. How do I get him to pay me for it?
I'm going to go ahead and stop you there. You're bankrupt before you start. Okay? Bankrupt.
So help me. Like, okay, so I have my market, right? I have my skill set. I have my market. How do I get Joey to start paying me 4 figures to help him dress better?
So the simplest way to get somebody to actually convert, you guys are hilarious, is a lot of the time you have to be very, very specific in regards to, you need to understand like Joey's psychology on how he makes buying decisions. And every human being goes through typically a 3-step phase before they're willing to make a buying purchase. So people are unaware where they're like maybe feeling frustrated, but they don't know what their actual problem is. Then they move into problem aware where they understand what their problem is, but they don't know what the solution to that problem could be. And then they go through solution aware where they understand, I know what my problem is. I know what solution I need to get, but now I just need to decide who I'm going to buy that solution from. And we teach something in our lean launch where we create, live video on Facebook. There's billions of people on Facebook. So I know Joey, I know you're on Facebook.
I am.
I would recommend doing live video content that's structured around those 3 stages of like awareness that a client and a person goes through to guide them through that process to get them to a point where he's really ready to make that investment. But the way that a lot of people will come out of the gate saying like, I offer personal styling services, it's not specific enough to immediately attract Joey versus if, you said, I will teach you how to dress like the Italian stallion you desire to be. And you niche that wardrobe, you go from being a personal stylist and now you specialize in Italian fashion for, middle-aged married men who want to spice up their dating life again. That's way more specific. So that's what the POP method really helps you do is get that granular.
Dang.
You will be talking to a smaller audience, but niche, like Lego did this phenomenally. Anybody, you guys play Legos?
Oh yeah. I was playing them this morning.
Okay, good. Okay. I buy the adult advanced versions. I have like a 4,000 piece Disney castle Lego set that I'm working on right now. But Lego did this, and this is a really prime example. So Lego sales weren't doing that great. So they did a survey, asked their audience, how can we get you guys to buy more Legos? And they're like, your sets are too complicated. Like we need them to be easier. And so then Lego creates this whole new toy line where they make all of these, like you can see them and they're like those little packaged, it's like 30 pieces.
Yeah.
It's crap.
Yeah.
But
my kids have those all day.
You got to get them into the advanced Lego sets. Okay. Your kids are capable. Okay. But so Lego decided to create this whole new toy line of these simpler sets because that's what their audience said they wanted. And then their sales they thought would increase. Actually, their sales dropped. So they went back and read those surveys and they looked at their evangelists. Those are the people that were giving like these paragraph responses to the questions. And those people was a much, much smaller audience size, but they were like, your sets are too simple. We want the 4,000, 5,000 piece sets. So Lego now has, they created this line where like you can buy a Porsche Lego set that's like 5,500 Lego pieces, or like this Disney castle that's like 4,400 pieces. And they're a couple $100 a pop, which is kind of insane because a traditional Lego set's like $30. Sales skyrocketed. So the premise is when you really focus on this niche, those are like your hyper fans, a very niche specialized audience, you're able to sell at a higher price ticket and typically able to sell more, which will help you, back to the services, create that consistent income.
Okay, so you're actually bringing me to maybe the second audience that I feel like we're talking to on a daily basis. These are the folks that have already stepped out. They're on their own. They have a great business, but they're looking for additional ways to either create passive income, make their business more passive, something of that nature. And I think what you're at least talking about here is how to maximize that, right? By taking that product that you already offer. And you've talked before about going online with it. And most of our business clients, they're trying to find ways to do that. So speak to that audience right now, like how you're helping those folks. Yeah.
And I'm really glad that you asked that question, because if you already have an existing business and you're already selling a service or offering a product that's making consistent income, you've already proven the process. You've already laid the foundation. And now, like I call it a leveraged offer where you can repackage that. So maybe if it's, I know you guys mentioned a dentist earlier. Mm-hmm. Like if a dentist is, out there drilling teeth, there's only so much they can probably offer. All their stuff is physical, but that dentist could offer consulting services, teaching another dentist how to open up their own practice. I say the same thing for like attorneys, even like real estate folks, mainly because if they go to school, especially for these specialized skill set, they know how to be a dentist. They know how to be an attorney. Nobody taught them how to run the business behind it. So that could be, they could easily, either offer that in a consulting container where they're helping other people grow their dentist business or start their own practice, or even package their knowledge into a digital course because they've already been doing it. And now it's just repackaging it in a different format and offer this as like online education and training. Instead of somebody going to get their MBA, they end up buying your course because they're cutting the fluff and saving a couple $100,000 to just get what is exactly I need to do to get started. So I think it's just like looking at what you're currently offering right now and just maybe looking at it from a fresh lens on just how can we maybe repackage this to reach new audiences or a new clientele base that maybe we haven't thought of before or is outside of the specific audience that we're currently tapping into.
So all right, for the person that just heard that and says, okay, sounds great, but I don't know anything about creating an online course. I don't know how, I know maybe what the content could be, but how do you then, you talked about funnels, lead pages, all this sorts of, like those things. I mean, you might as well be, speaking Greek or something like that. It's just not stuff that people know typically. How do you turn that corner of understanding?
So, and the thing that I believe in is like, if you have a core process, you already have the process for what your content will be. It's just repackaging it. So, I mean, and I wouldn't come out of the gate, like I said, necessarily just offering a course. I'd probably do it a couple of times in a consulting container. And then you can either hire somebody to come in and actually create all this stuff for you, or I'm a really big component of doing it live, packaging it. Like I said before, I don't make anything until somebody's bought it from me. So even my courses, I will wait until I will sell it. And then once people buy it, I will drip the content out or create it live as I'm walking them through that process. And then the second time we launch the course, I will go back in, update the modules, and just continue to make these like fine tune and tweak it. And our program now is through the 5th iteration. And just last cycle was the first time we actually had pre-recorded videos in our course. And the course has made over 6 figures in the last 6 months. So like you don't have to come out of the gate having all of these things. So my recommendation would actually be find a few people that you could start either consulting and selling this to, and then slowly start creating the elements of your content as you're walking somebody through that process. And then whether that be in like a Facebook group or a live video or on a Zoom call, and then downloading those things and then packaging that into your process. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we've learned a lot of things on this podcast. One, that you love Legos. I mean, that is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to see the picture of this 40,000 princess set, because I built like a 8 Lego tower, on the step towers today. And I took, we took the Superman figure and went up it. I mean, I felt like I had done something. So like, for sure, totally feel inadequate again around you. We also realized that I'll struggle to sell it to him, but I could like build a course for Joey on a way to help him reach his inner Italian stallion. And I don't know what that even looks like. Maybe I'll just start with a picture of Sylvester Stallone and I'll just work toward that, Joey. But there's something that you have for our audience, and I'm excited for you to share this with them. You have kind of a roadmap. You have a framework to help them convert more clients, and we're going to offer this in our show notes. But tell them what that's going to entail, because I already know Joey and I have some stuff we need to talk to you about offline to figure out how to do some of this stuff. So talk about what that looks like. Yeah.
So most online entrepreneurs or marketers are telling you to come out of the gate creating this funnel and setting all this stuff up. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what the audience is like.
I mean, we're gonna like pray for you afterwards, but yeah, do what you want to. I mean, this is.
I'm a believer. Lord, give me grace. I'm the person that really just says like F the funnel. Like I don't believe in the funnel when you're making less than 6 figures doing this online out of the gate. So I just really, through the 4-step framework, we'll teach you guys my process on how to actually lay the foundation for creating your service, developing your process, and actually being able to get clients results consistently. And then once you have that, it's a really great way for you to then leverage that service and turn that into a more passive income product online.
Well, I am so excited that you stopped in with us today, Jereshia. This has been so fun, and we totally are going to be connecting with you because Joey and I need some help on some of those things you were talking about. G Suite would be one of them. You can go back and she always have to sign up for that, because clearly my Outlook is no longer in style anymore. I mean,
just like that shirt, by the way.
First it was getting off the flip phone. Now it's getting off Outlook. Like, God, challenge constantly. So thank you so much again for coming. And please go look at our show notes. You need to download this framework to convert more clients. I know that you can build your business and grow it online using Jereshia's already patent system. So thank you so much again.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.